Three, two, one, action. Okay, we're back.
Hey everyone. Hello, fellow marketers, listeners. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Call to Action. I'm Janet Mesh. I'm the CEO of Aimtal. And Aimtal, we're an integrated marketing agency and help service B2B product companies. So focus a lot on the tech industry as a lot of our types of clients, but have a range of industries we work with. In these episodes, we're going to be talking about all things marketing because we're fully integrated, full service. We kind of touch all points of it. And I'm joined today with my co-host, Tucker Delaney-Winn. He's our growth marketing lead at Aimtal. You want to give a little hello there, Tucker, on this fine day?
Of course. Hello, Janet. Great to be here. Yeah, Aimtal's growth marketing lead, driving demand, leads, and revenue for clients. And yeah, very excited to get into it today. Excited about the topics at the end.
The big threes right there. So in each call to action episode, this is a series call to action. Really excited to get it started. And what we do is we talk shop, deep dive, industry updates, trends, research reports, things that we're seeing, even stuff that we're like consulting our clients on a day-to-day. Like we're pretty much Tucker and I and everyone at Aimtal, but especially Tucker and I, we love to just chat and nerd out about all things marketing. And then we just figured we should just start recording these things and just get on camera and just talk away and kind of see where we go. And so, yeah, very excited to kind of bring to a larger audience and you listening of, what we're seeing, hearing kind of changes. Marketing changes so fast. Especially in a B2B tech industry, it's pretty much the only constant is change. So yeah, in this episode, we're really excited. We're going to talk about a few different things. If you saw episode 1, an area that we did focus a lot on was what was top of mind for CMOs, especially in what was interesting, it was a big thing around cross-functional collaboration, like within the organization, really wanting to make sure that that is happening and seeing how that was preventing growth and for them to really optimize and build efficient organizations. And yeah, we also chatted a lot about, B2B buyer journey. And so we're excited to keep kind of talking about some of those things. And wanted to continue the conversation, especially around that B2B buyer journey. But in particular today, we really want to deep dive a little bit more into what that looks like operationally and especially around like attribution models and some big changes that are happening in the industry around actually being able to capture that data and getting accurate data around that. So we'll be talking a lot about that today. So anything else, Tucker, that kind of we're going to be covering? You want to give a little preview to?
Yeah, spoiler alerts. We made tease a little marketing attribution, how we do it at Aimtal, what that looks like. Might talk a little bit about stories, kind of the secret ingredient to marketing attribution. So a couple things sprinkled in there that we'll be getting to.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so I think, as I was just saying, like there's that B2B buyer journey, and we shared a graphic before. I think we were like looking at this episode, like what do we want to like just go deeper into and spend more time in? And it was this Gartner report and this chart that we saw, Tucker. And I think one of the things that we always say is, we think of the marketing funnel and the user, a lead, user, customer journey, everyone, it's easy for us humans to think of things in like a linear fashion. I don't know, when you look at something like this, it's overwhelming. Like this is pretty intense. So I would love let's start here and like just share again, like what are we looking at here?
What are we looking at? We're looking at the modern day B2B buying journey, Janet, and it is messy, to your point. So this is Gartner's report on the B2B buying journey, and as you know, I love this graphic because I think it's very honest, true, and transparent about the reality of B2B buying today, especially B2B tech buying, which is that it's long, complicated, and messy. So two things I always love to call out here. One is that this isn't just one buyer's journey. We know that the average buying committee is typically 6 to 10 different decision makers, all independently doing this research, looking at white papers, going on the website, going on social channels, requesting demos, requesting RFPs. So, not just one person doing this crazy mess, but 6 to 10 different people all doing that and researching your company's product, your brand, all in different ways. But the second thing that I love to point out here is exactly as you said, it's not linear. In fact, it's the opposite of linear. They go backwards is what trying to
Mhm.
say here. So we know, and I think this illustrates how B2B buyers cycle both up and down the funnel, doing research on digital channels every step of the way, all the way up to the purchase point. So I love this because you've got arrows going backwards, you've got arrows going up, you've got arrows going sideways, and it really just
Yeah.
speaks to you the reality of it.
And it's
And
like
I
the
think
start to finish is like kind of in two sides, but it's like pretty much just to show that you can start somewhere and then go pretty much around the whole entire experience before you even make a purchase decision. It's
exactly,
there. I feel like the way that they designed this is just to show like, there is a start and end, but it's not it's like I said, it's not linear. It's not like I'm gonna start here, go the next step, the next step, the next step.
exactly. And there's a big chunk between start and finish, that I sometimes refer to as the messy middle.
Okay, now I'm excited.
Yeah,
Messy middle. Yeah,
middle,
this is messy. Yeah, this is messy for sure.
exactly,
Shout out to the middle children, honestly. I feel like messy middle. I feel like any middle children are probably like, yeah, this is my life. I can't identify though. I'm not a middle child. I'm the youngest of my family, actually.
as am I.
Oh, look at that. Look at
Mhm,
that. You got the youngins here
mhm.
on the call. Um Interesting. I think, are you one of them? Do you have brothers? I also have a
2 older
brother.
brothers, so I was the youngest
Wow.
at the table
Me
by a lot.
too.
Just kinda making weird having weird thoughts in my head while, they talked about more serious things. So, I don't know where that leaves me, I guess, in the attribution world, but, yeah.
We're like, yeah. Well, we will talk about last touch attribution, so maybe there's a connection there.
Last there you go, yeah, exactly. So,
Oh boy. Well, you can dig in a little more for those of you listening of Tucker and I psychology of being the youngest of all boys. There we go.
a lot
I feel like if
lot to
anything, personally, I feel like it prepared me really well to be CEO of a company, and typically always in rooms with men.
exactly.
Definitely gave me some good energy to show up and have a seat at the table.
Holding your own, exactly, 100%. Yeah.
All right, I gotta bring us back. We're throwing a lot of words around and not defining them. So let's I'll define what is marketing attribution. So what is marketing attribution? It's a reporting strategy and method that helps marketers determine how their marketing efforts contribute to a desired outcome. So typically what you want is you want some sort of conversion, either downloading content, but ideally it's like to convert on a sale or a purchase. Like that is, of course, everyone is hoping for, driving more leads, bringing more customers. That is really like the gold mine we're going after. But how I understand it, and would love to hear, since this is your zone of genius, Tucker, is like there's definitely some models within, it's not just like a one size fits all approach. So can you describe a few different of those models of marketing attribution and reporting?
Absolutely. Yeah. Many different marketing attribution models. So I'm going to talk about three. So the first one, first touch attribution modeling. That's where we look at the very first touch point that a customer interacted with and brought us into the CRM. This is really great for brand awareness, lead generation. It's where we attribute all the credit of the lead and eventually even the
Mm,
deal to that first touch. So really good if you really need to understand where our leads originally coming from. So
okay.
that's one
So you're
form.
like, so as an example would be like, okay, the first touch was like they downloaded like this case study, or they downloaded this like new report we just put out, and that's the first time that they gave their information to our company. Right.
Exactly. And they did it on LinkedIn or they did it on Meta or something. And that's our source.
Right.
That's where we know we can attribute. So that's that first touch. All the way at the other end, you've got last touch attribution. And that's where we're looking at the very last interaction they had before they converted to a sale. So this is way down at the bottom of the funnel. That's where they're looking at pricing. That's where they're doing RFPs and demos. This is
Mhm.
really good if you have a ton of top of funnel traffic, if you got a ton of website visitors, and looking way up high at the funnel at what's going on isn't really helping you understand what's leading to a sale. So going all the way to the other end, the last touch, that's where last touch attribution modeling comes in. So that's your other side. Now there are like W models and V models and P's and Q's, but I'm gonna
Oh,
exclude
wow. Yeah,
those.
sounds like, like geese flying information or something.
Yes,
That's what the
exactly. Which
term.
the goose model, I haven't cracked that code yet, but I look forward to it.
We can feed the idea to designers, see what they come up with.
Yeah, I'm sure there's all sorts. But the one that I think we find most useful, the most powerful, also the most complex, is multi-touch attribution
Mm,
model. So this is where we're looking at every single customer interaction that a lead or a set of leads have as they go down the funnel, and then starting to organize and categorize based off that. And this is the most powerful attribution model in my mindset because it really helps you assess holistically all the interactions that are happening and then start to understand which channels are really having the most influence on a lead moving down the pipeline and converting to a purchase. The disadvantage on the other side is that this is the most complex model. So it's kind of hard to
yeah, it's a
understand.
lot of
It's
data.
it's a lot. I mean, we're talking what, like 10, 20, 50, sometimes 100 touch points across,
Right.
those 6 to 10 decision makers. So it's a lot. So you really need to have the right set of tools to do this. And, spoiler alert, as we'll get into, you got to be able to tell a good story if you're going to do multi-touch. But yeah, those are the
Yeah.
big three in my mind. Yeah.
Thanks, Tart. Awesome. Great to love to hear all those. So
Mhm.
it really sounds like, this multi-touch attribution, if you can work towards that,
Yeah.
really sounds like kind of the mecca of attribution reporting then. But
Mhm.
I think, your little spoiler alert, I'm excited to dig into that in a little bit of just kind of how to actually like take all that information and distill it down into a way that's easy to understand. So we'll get there in a moment. But I guess when like this begs the next question is like, how should B2B marketers rethink their attribution models then? Or like, is there a way that they should be setting this up to best reflect like the true source of influence in the buyer journey?
Yes.
How I'd love for you to kind of explain how we think about this at Aimtal and how we consult our clients on this.
Absolutely. So I think you see a lot of marketers reporting based on, what are our analytics in LinkedIn? What are our analytics in Google? And they're basically reporting out of every single platform. And so you
Right.
get a ton of different data and it's not necessarily all synced up. Marketing attribution is all about connecting the dots between your marketing and how it leads to sales and revenue. So to do that, you got to integrate all your marketing channels right into your CRM. And I should make a plug now that Aimtal has a great blog all about this, all about marketing attribution. So if you're a reader looking for some bedtime
Yeah, if
reading,
you glazed over, like you can go read that.
exactly. So we like to say at Aimtel that you really want your CRM to be your command center, and not just for marketing attribution, but for running data-driven campaigns. Because when you're integrating all your marketing channels with your CRM, then you're tying that to your customer records, your deals, your sales, and you're able to actually start to look at the channels that are affecting sales.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, the number one thing that if people are trying to do marketing attribution, they've got to integrate all their marketing channels right into the CRM and start reporting out of that. That's when, I think, as you know, there's a big complaint that people have about marketing being a cost center for
Right.
agencies. But when you start integrating into the CRM and tying marketing engagement directly back to sales, that's when you stop being a cost center and you start making clear connections on how marketing is actually impacting sales.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and I guess like our what we typically the CRM we work with in at Intel, and where we're experts in is with HubSpot. But of course there's other, CRMs you can use, like
yeah.
Marketo, another big one for B2B enterprise companies.
Mhm.
Awesome. So, all right. So I think, yeah, this is some interesting stuff. And definitely, I mean, I think absolutely what we're seeing is like, as you mentioned, marketers need to be more data driven, much more. I mean, this is a lot more like of a technical angle of how to be a marketer. And it really has like kind of quickly changed and evolved. It's always existed, but I think the like kind of the emphasis and the importance of it is really grown over the past few years. And it's just, especially, which we can talk about too later on, of just kind of that traffic and kind of where people are finding your company. And the other big change is the deprecation of third-party cookies. Like that is a massive change that's happening. But I did want to share, I found this other report here. Let me add it in. So this chart here, this organization, I think it's conducted by Tech Validate. Yeah. So they, this organization, eMarketer, they kind of pull together these like charts of a day, which I really like. And I saw this one and I was like, okay, this is interesting. It's specific to retail marketers. But I like looking at kind of the B2C side, because it pretty much just starts to signal like what will come for, business. So B2C is business to consumer, B2B is business. We're all human. It's not really that much different at the end of the day. But this
B2B
is
human to human. So there you go.
Yes, exactly. We just call it H to H, human to human. But so what this graph we're looking at, it's like a bar chart showing up here, performance-driven paid media, and then measurement and attribution capabilities is first and second on in the bar chart. And they've like surveyed retail marketers worldwide, and they all, like 53% of them agreed that the measurement and attribution capabilities are critical to their success. And they apparently did they did this same survey in October 2022, so they can compare it 2 years later, and it was at 41% in 2022. So in a 2-year span, it's like jumped 10%. So I think that just proves what I was just saying, that there's been a ton of, this is rapidly happening, and it's kind of hard to keep up with, honestly. So, but that's what we're here to just kind of talk about. I mean, I'm not claiming I have all the answers or that we're like know all the things, but I think that's the whole point of why we want to kind of get on here and talk about it and share this information forward and just kind of see where things are going to take us and change. Curious if you have any thoughts on that one there.
Yeah, well, no, and it's definitely like, as you're saying, it's really more and more with the advances that we have in marketing and attribution technology now, it really is possible to get a much more holistic view into everything you're doing. And we're going to talk about dark social, of course, but I think for folks who aren't doing that, for the marketing teams that aren't taking marketing and attribution not just seriously, but folding that in as a core component of what you're doing, and then using that to form your marketing decisions, yeah, going to be in big trouble if you're not doing that at this point. So being able to get ahead and know how to leverage marketing and attribution to your advantage is going to be a huge competitive win for you. So yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. I think the data really bears that out.
Right. Well, we would definitely be remiss if we didn't continue to talk about these changes that are happening. I think, we kind of, like do these things, like, approach it this way, but in reality, like, it's pretty hard to pull it all together. And you just mentioned dark social, like that's a pretty massive change that's happening. And we're seeing that as well. And how only measuring one attribution source, like it doesn't give the full context of what's actually working, the real performance, how marketing is influencing and contributing to growing the pipeline for leads and eventual customers. So let's keep diving in that direction, Tucker. So definitely feels like there's a big misconception, and let's share with the audience a little bit of like what's happening with Google sending those referrals, and you're not always that data's not always represented is really the point we're trying to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's pull up some charts here. So I think what you're getting at, Janet, we see that Google is often the one sending the referrals, sending all the traffic, or at least that's how it appears. And so because on your average, CRM or your Google Analytics or your website analytics program, you're seeing folks are just seeing a lot of traffic coming from Google. The perception is that Google is the original source. Maybe going back to marketing attribution, Google is perceived to be that first touch point in the chain.
Mm-hmm.
But there's really a different story going on here, right? The reality is that all these little small slivers of pie are where folks are actually finding out about your product, about your brand, all these different social channels from Meta to Reddit to X.
Yeah,
And even
majority of them are social: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn,
right.
Reddit.
Right. But
Pretty much, yeah.
because people don't know necessarily that this is happening, they're falsely attributing Google as, the end all
Right.
be all source where things are happening. And that also means that they're not paying attention and dedicating enough time and resources to
Right.
these other channels where people are actually finding out about you.
Well, if you're also only looking in Google Analytics at direct traffic, when you look in, if you're only looking at Google Analytics, and then you're seeing like, okay, where's my traffic? Like, how am I capturing traffic?
Mhm.
A lot of the time, like there's so much that's under the term direct.
Yep.
But what's actually happening is that direct is a lot of that is that traffic from these other like websites and channels like social media
Right.
or
Right.
other like websites. So just to take a step back, this chart that we're looking at here is from a massive, like pretty groundbreaking research and analysis report that SparkToro did with they collaborated with an organization called Datos. So we use SparkToro, we're a customer of them, love their platform. And they're kind of looking at different ways of seeing how your potential buyers and your audience is like influence online and like the true sources of that. So massive shout out to the SparkToro team, because I feel like they're doing the good work. Like I think we're able to speak about this because like they're the ones taking the first step to be like, hey, this is what we're seeing is going on, and everyone needs to pay attention and kind of like bring all this together. So yes, just big kudos to them, and like thank you for giving us all the insight and information and confidence to be able to like speak about this. And like, we are talking about this all the time. And we're able to see this. We use SparkToro ourselves. We use that platform so we can see for starting to advise our clients and kind of bring these things together. Like we do, to give an example, like we do LinkedIn advertising for clients, organic and then also on the organic side, but that's not always integrated with their, as Tucker was saying, like their CRM. So we're kind of bringing the information that they have, that they're seeing, what's hitting like their website and what's on their pipelines, but then matching that with the data that we're seeing and being able to measure and report on the social channels and be like, actually, this is the full picture here.
Right. Exactly. Well, yeah, and as we think about like social listening and social listening strategies, another huge component that marketers have to be thinking about. I think it's pretty common for folks to look at keyword search volume on something like Google or SEMrush and then use that to inform a marketing strategy. But what I don't think happens as much is folks using keywords in a social listening capacity and doing research on social listening platforms to understand what are the keywords and key phrases that people are talking about on LinkedIn in relation to your followers or the people who most frequently visit your LinkedIn page. That is such a massive opportunity in white space to then use those keywords, those phrases, those hashtags, those themes, and start putting that directly in your marketing materials. Start making that the headline of your ad. And that's
Yeah, I like that.
another great way that we've kind of used social listening, and I think really an untapped opportunity. So
Right.
yeah, lots
Absolutely.
out of that.
The other one that we have, I'll throw it back up on the screen real quick here. SparkToro had this in their report as well, and I think this is a good way to illustrate what we're saying in a simple way. Like when branded search sends you traffic, like it's literally just like a Google text box, like the URL bar, and then they're saying like Google actually shouldn't get all of that attribution. If someone's, especially branded keywords, so you're like, if someone's searching like your company or the name of it, that's actually like that is the influence of brand marketing, awareness, all the work that you're doing at the top of funnel, that someone's going to go and Google, you know, that brand or product name. I think on the flip side is if someone does like a search that's like, you know, only like integrated marketing agency, then anyone that's going after that keyword would, you know, is fighting for that click or that traffic. But if they're searching Aimtal, then it's going to come directly. But it's like, where do they hear about Aimtal? Like, where do they, you know, first learn about it? I mean, that's happened to us. Like, people will reach out and then we're like, where did you actually find out about us? Like, we just simply, sometimes we have the opportunity just to ask. And they're like, oh, I heard you on a podcast, or I read this article, or someone else told me about you guys, and you know, you were on my list. So I think that's a lot. That's the testament of marketing. Like, the power of marketing is all of those different touch points. Totally. And it's not like, oh, it's only, you know, Google drove all of that. It's actually all of the integrated approach we're taking here to bring that in for the organization.
Completely agree. If you're seeing a huge spike in branded keyword traffic, that's a signal that somewhere else something is working on your dark social channels, and you need to go. That's a signal for you to go find out what it is, because somehow people are starting to understand your brand and hear about your brand, but you're not going to know what that is from looking at Google and seeing, oh, we have a bunch more branded keyword searches. You've got to go find out the channels where that's actually getting initiated.
Right. Okay, so dark social, it refers to the shares and mentions of your brand or content, like in a, not always like I think sometimes it's defined as like in a private channel, but it's actually like, I do think it could be in a public channel, and you know, in a comment of a social post or something, you know, it could even be in an email, actually, you know, someone sending an email. But it's the point of like the dark social term is that the sources are not in a way that you can easily capture. Like, your organization, like your company's not able to like directly get that, know exactly where it's coming from. So that's why I wanted to kind of explain, like, it's dark because you can't easily track it via typical means. And yeah, I mean, I think the whole point is like, it just makes it harder to narrow down like those sources. But you really can't do anything if you just don't even have any of this set up. Back to our point about actually setting up these models.
Totally agree.
Okay, great. I'm understanding this, but like, what do I do about it? Like, this is like, what are some steps I can take to like alleviate or kind of mitigate some of these issues? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that first.
Yeah, I mean, because dark social, like, my mind always goes to like the black market, and they're like, oh, they're smuggling, you know, UTM links or something. Where do I find my stuff? So yeah, there's a few ways that you can really start to shed some light on the mystery of dark social. So number one, and this is really a best practice overall, but making sure you're using UTM links, using referral links, using link shorteners. You know, again, this is best practice, but you want to be able to track links, even if they're being shared in private channels. Always want to make sure that you're using that. Now, that's not always going to work. That's not going to work every time. So there's a couple other things that you want to be thinking about too. Obviously, if you're doing things in your CRM, you want to be thinking about first-party cookies, especially with third-party cookies going away as well. Really, the more you can track things out of your CRM, the more you're looking at things like email clicks and engagement in that way. That's really going to tell you about the customers who are already most engaged with you. So that's a good thing to look at as well.
So what you're saying is like, definitely put the focus on getting people to convert, give their, you know, at least their email, so that you're not only interacting with them on third-party platforms or where you don't, you know, maybe you have like their demographic information, but you don't truly know exactly who the person is.
Exactly. Yeah. Ideally, you want to be converting customers into your CRM and then engaging with them through those channels, because that's, you know, that way you're looking at what they're doing exactly inside of your CRM, and it's just very clear. And it's often these people are much closer to coming down your funnel as well. So yeah, really recommend trying to align your marketing into the first party world. But an even bigger weapon we also just talked about, we're starting to get to, is social listening and having a social listening strategy. So using a platform like a SparkToro or a Hootsuite, both of which Aimtal has mentioned. And these are the types of platforms where social listening is monitoring different social channels for mentions of your brand name. It's also monitoring what people are talking about within your social channels or within competitor social channels. We at Aimtel have launched campaigns based off of what we've seen competitors talking about or niche audiences, which channels they're on. It can inform where you should be advertising. So there's a world of knowledge that you can tap into when it comes to social listening. So that's a huge one. And then you also mentioned a fourth one, Janet, which is just
Yeah.
your customers.
Yeah, right. Like if you have the opportunity, especially your sales team, I think that's where it comes down to, like,
Yes.
having that connection between marketing and sales, and marketing kind of holding sales accountable, be like, hey, like, find out like where they heard it, like start the call, find out, just ask the question, like, where did you first hear about us and the product and, the company? And
Mhm.
usually what you're almost seeing in to your point, like the first touch or last touch attribution, like that custom field right there in your CRM has a story in itself.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So, all
So
right. And then I'll add in another one, I think is, and I think it's more a different way of approaching content
hmm.
and, like starting to kind of giving your audience what they need where they are. And
Mhm.
another shout out to SparkToro, Amanda at SparkToro. She actually came up with this concept called zero click content, which we totally buy into at Aimtal, and really agree with, and are seeing success with it with our clients, actually, like, and for Aimtal as well. And what it is that you're creating content for that platform. You're not trying to, use, say, I'll use LinkedIn as an example. You're not trying to use LinkedIn only to promote something and then drive someone off of LinkedIn. It's actually what's happening. The other kind of massive industry, like, change in what these platforms are doing is they're not going to prioritize those posts if if your page, like your company, is constantly linking off to other sites
Mhm.
organic, like on your organic posts. They're not
Mhm.
going to show them in the feed, pretty much, is what's
Mhm.
starting to happen. And we see this on our client side, like when we just are giving the information up front in that post, like providing, educating, and just looking for engagement on that content within the platform on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
It's around some of the top performing content.
Right.
So this is very much where you know I think definitely, obviously, we're really giving kudos to SparkToro, but they really have done a lot of the, kind of first step research on this. But um, it is an interesting way to think about it, because it's not even just on, like, social channels. Even on Google, like with all these changes, they are kind of giving the answer right up front, that where you don't even need to, like, click the page
Yeah,
anymore.
totally.
So there, like, it just came out like a couple weeks ago, where with Google bringing the AI prompts and information into search, like, you don't really need to go off that platform anymore. But of course, when you create the content, that it shows up,
Right.
but it's just
Exactly.
going to diminish more and more. But it doesn't mean that it's not working, if that makes
Right.
sense. Like, doesn't mean it's not worth investing. It's actually like you need to do more of it, if anything.
Yeah, I think people need to get really creative and thoughtful. I mean, take case studies. We talked about case studies a lot in our last video, Janet, but do I need to have someone click on an ad from LinkedIn and then go to my website and download a case study in order to view the case study? Like, what's the end goal? The end goal is really just that the person consumes this case study
Hmm.
knowledge so that they are more likely to convert. What if we just put the big results or nuggets right on LinkedIn, to your point, as in the format of
Right.
zero click content? If we run this as an ad, we can track which companies view that case study
Right.
and the number of impressions, engagement. What if you took that and started to include that as part of the story of your marketing attribution? That's just a different
Yeah.
way of thinking about this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So just
Yeah. So
put it in.
yeah. So I think that, like, all this can be a little bit overwhelming, to be
Mhm.
honest.
That's true.
How to approach it, trying, experimenting. So I guess, like, it's really easy to get lost in the data weeds.
Mhm.
So help us see the forest from the trees, Tucker. Like
Yes.
how can we like tell that story? I think that's a big part of it, is that you need to kind of take a lot of this information as a
Mhm.
marketer and then simplify it, not not to the point of stripping down the truth. It should be
Right.
it
No,
needs
no,
to
no.
be a true story,
Right.
but it's it is our job to present that in a way that makes it easy to understand, and kind of like what are we looking at here? I don't think you can just send a dashboard to someone and then assume that they're going to be able to know exactly what they're looking at and be able to pull the right information from it.
No, 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 no.
No.
Yes, that is the danger of dashboards, or the danger of data in general, just sending it to a client, a stakeholder, your boss, and then expecting that they're gonna have the time to make sense of it, gonna come to the same conclusion that you are. So
Right.
no, totally
Well,
agree.
it's worse than they come to the different conclusion, and you pretty much spend the entire time trying to come back from that.
Yeah, you're in backpedal mode of like, oh no, 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 that's not what I was supposed to, that's not what I meant. But if you didn't do the legwork of setting up the story and telling a story in the first place, then you're really in trouble. And
Mhm.
absolutely true what you said too. It has to be fact-based. Marketers are nonfiction storytellers. We're not fictitious. Those who are fictitious storytellers, you're gonna be in trouble. But yeah, let's enough chit chat. Let's show some stories here. So here's a quick example that of how you might tell the story about marketing attribution. Now, of course, there's a lot more sophisticated ways to do this. This is not the only way. This is one of many ways. But what we often find, to your point, Janet, is when you show a bunch of data to a stakeholder or an executive, they don't have time to parse it out. They want to know the facts. This is a format we use at Aimtal to just start doing several things to make the connections that are really important with marketing attribution. So, uh, disclaimer: this is a fake example. I have that up in the corner, but this is not real. But let's pretend.
And if they want it to be real, we can
Hey,
help them
Microsoft,
out.
if you need a small, scrappy marketing startup to help power your agile marketing operations, call us. Um, anyways,
Or text us. I don't know how to
or
answer that phone call.
yeah, that's true. Fill out a
Send
form,
an
or
email.
yeah,
Fill out the form so we have the lead source.
use different digital channels, and we'll
We'll
tell
see
you
it on
about
social
how
media.
your
Exactly. Put comment on this video. We got
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're going to pretend for now that Microsoft is an Aimtel customer. We're going to walk you through a little bit of how we might tell the story of marketing attribution. Let's say we landed a deal with Microsoft and we want to, your CEO wants to know, okay, what were the marketing engagements that contributed? Or even broader question, how was marketing at all involved with this sale? Completely reasonable question that
I
every
feel like everyone gets all the time.
everyone gets all the time. And if you're responding with panic to that question, start doing things like this. So, first of all, look inside your CRM and look at what are the marketing engagements and the marketing touch points that nurtured the customer down the funnel. This is where we talk about facts, right? Looking at, okay, what are the things that they did? What are the primary contacts from this company that you have a deal with? What are the things that they did, such as requesting a demo, opening emails, attending webinars? Log those, make sure they're recording those. By the way, with AI and with retrieval augmented generation, RAG, I think this is going to become even easier too as we start to implement AI and just be able to query your own customer databases to learn this information. We've done a lot of this manually, which takes a lot of time, but it's really important work. What are the marketing touch points that nurture the customer down the funnel? Not only that, start drawing connections between marketing engagement and sales activity. So if we zoom in here, we see, oh, this person requested a demo in October. 3 days later, a deal was created. By the way, this is based on a pretty real example. So these are those kind of golden nuggets that only by doing marketing attribution and looking really closely, you can start to say, okay, this marketing thing happened, and then this sales thing happened that progressed them down the funnel. Huge. Look at the next line. Open 26 lead nurture emails, including 7 in the month leading up to closing the deal. That's another element that tells the story of how marketing is impacting the deal, impacting the leads, moving them down the pipeline. Another great thing that we can really do here is clarify the connection between marketing creative and customer value. Obviously important to include the deal size. People invest a lot of money into marketing and they want to know, am I getting a return on my investment? So it's good to show them the deals and the numbers that you're including. Again, fake example for now, but Microsoft, text us. Anyways, so looking at what's the biggest creatives here? What are the different kinds of creatives that are actually having an impact and that people are engaging with? And it's cool to do this with one company, but once you start doing that with 5 customers, 10 customers, 20 customers, not only are you building a story and a backlog of all the different deals and revenue that marketing is impacting, you can also start to draw patterns between the most engaging, most important pieces of marketing. And that's when you start to look for signals. This is a thing that Chris Walker talks a lot about. But what are the signals that tell you that these people who are downloading this particular guide or watching this particular webinar might be more likely to close? That's what marketing attribution can really do, is help you not only look back, but start to predict the most likely people to convert, the most likely companies you should be going after. So that's a little bit of marketing
Amazing.
attribution and how to tell a story. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I think what I like about this too is that it's a company account based approach.
yes,
So you're not, I think it's important, you're looking at the individual person, but back to what you were saying before, there's 6 to 10 people in a buying committee. So, if you can take a look at like, okay, how many people of this one or like company are interacting with our content, our information, engaging with our people, following us across platforms, then you can start to see, okay, we have like, 15 people of this one organization. Like, how do we kind of start to take that little bit more personalized approach to reach out to them? But that's also just even, I think that's a really helpful place where marketing can be like, hey, look at, this is an account that you should absolutely focus on. These are this is content, this is information, topics that they are showing, that signal, that interest in, and, hand that over, like give that to sales so that they can use that in their conversation. And, they're already kind of like halfway to that point of being convinced, hopefully, to make that conversation a bit easier. And like, at the end of the day, like that is the value, that is the influence of marketing, to make those conversations that much easier for sales to have, to then lead into that conversion and hopefully, close a new customer and bring them on and, solve their problems.
100%. Yeah, this is the way that you start to educate sales about what's working, what's not, bring them
Mhm.
into the process. And I know, Janet, we've had partners where we meet with the sales team weekly and we show them the different ads that are bringing in leads.
Yeah.
And then we turn around and ask them, hey, how are those sales conversations going that you had with these leads? And then they'll tell us things. And there's even been instances where they give us a direct quote from a person they talked to during a sales demo, and we will put that as a headline in the ad and then drive more leads from that. So
Yeah.
when you
And then
start
it's
to,
cool because you can test like, okay, is it working for more people?
right, exactly. And that's that
Mhm.
beautiful fusion we all strive for, marketing sales
Mhm.
alignment, but it really helps sales achieve more and it helps marketing achieve more. And
Yep.
that's just really great to see. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I love the like that one slide, that kind of like one slide report. I know there's like a lot that goes into creating something like that, but at the same time, like it just gives this very clear, actionable story, but also like this common like kind of view, source of truth, and place where those sales and marketing teams can like look at it and have a common language, kind of like analyze, ideate, like as you're explaining, ideate ways that we can kind of try different tactics to reach these opportunities. And that's, that those conversations and that is still honestly missing, it seems, in organizations. But
yes,
that's where you can kind of bring folks together around the data and the facts and that information. I think that's very much where, marketing can go to sales and, present that and share those insights and kind of, pump people up, be like, hey, look at what we're seeing here. Like, what are you hearing? That's what you were saying. Like, what are you guys hearing? This is what we're seeing, and bring it all together.
exactly. Yeah, completely agree. No, this is that opportunity to kind of bring teams together and look at one common view of what's going on. I think we see problems when people start, sales has their own funnel, marketing has their own funnel. They're all looking at it one way, you're looking at it another way, and that's where things get really cloudy. And frankly, there's a lot of breakdowns in not just processes, but
Right.
performance as well.
Yeah. I honestly, like, sometimes it's a little shocking to me because I'm like, really, this is still um still a thing, but it really is. This is
Yeah.
from the 2024 final little bit of research reporting we'll share in this episode. But again, from the 2024 HubSpot Student Marketing Report, there's two bar charts here, and the first one says keeping up with the times. Marketers face challenges with one, generating traffic and leads, 15%, but then the other one there is achieving sales and marketing alignment. Still in 2024, like a big pain point. And then also like the ones that with effective strategies in 20, but the ones, so then the second chart, the bar chart here, it's kind of the other coin is saying like the marketers they surveyed in 2023 for this report, the ones that said that was like the most effective way of like winning really was by improving their sales and marketing alignment. It's like making that connection stronger, making sure they're looking at the same stuff. So, I mean, we're really passionate with this. We try as much as possible to make sure that have that connection when we're working with organizations and their marketing teams of like, what's going on sales? Like, what does this mean? Like, we don't want to just hand this off. We want to see the full like journey for these leads and these customers to be able to tell that full story. Instead of it just being, okay, we did our part. Now it's up to you.
Right. Yeah, it's a team sport, right? And I think when you start focusing marketing around facts and revenue, and think of it as a team sport between sales and marketing, even but customer success, throw them in there, the C-suite. I think that as that data bears out, that's where you start to see way more success. When people are working on their own success metrics, when marketing is working on vanity metrics that aren't tied to sales, that's when you really get in a lot of problems. That's when you get into finger pointing. But
and sales like this, these leads are not quality, and you're just and it's that's not the full story, right?
No,
so I think sales has to have that curiosity and be like, okay, like was there a bigger picture here? Like what else are we seeing? Like and not only just basing off of that first touch or last touch attribution, it's really that entire journey. I think it's also kind of what you're touching on is like what are those incentives? I think there's some misalignment there as well. We know like sales teams have these like quotas they have to hit. They need to like show that they brought in these specific like leads and deals. But I think that's where causes that finger pointing or the lack of not wanting to collaborate because you want to kind of keep it for yourself potentially.
Totally. And taking that empathetic approach too, as we always do at Aimtal. I mean, I think sales folks have some of the hardest jobs in the world trying to go after new people every day, and thinking about how we as marketers can just help them, provide them with helpful data that makes their jobs easier, give them immediate insights, listen to what they're saying and bring in better quality leads too. I think it's taking that empathetic approach to really help each other and help collaborate and win is a huge piece of that. So yeah.
Amazing. Cool. Well, thank you, Tucker, for all the insights and knowledge as always. I think we're always, I think we're always, I feel like we always come down to this point where we're like, just kind of sometimes just collaborate, communicate with folks, get in the same room, get on the same Zoom, look at things together, talk about it. And that's what we're trying to do here as well. Just talk about these things, be honest about what we're seeing, just kind of share our knowledge, see where it goes. And absolutely would love to hear from folks listening, like what you're seeing. I think that's like the value of a community too. It's not, you can't come up with all the answers on your own. It's very much this collective effort. And that's what really leads to success.
Completely agree. Yeah.
So just to recap in this episode of Call to Action, we talked about a lot, but first, marketing attribution and models, using your CRM as a strategic center and a source of truth for buyer journey reporting. A lot of change happening with referral traffic, how that's actually captured, if it's even being accurately reported in your analytics tools, and clear actionable reports, how you can kind of create these, tell that story, bring folks together, especially between sales and marketing, and the importance of sales and marketing alignment.
Yeah. Love it. Love getting into marketing attribution.
Yeah. As I always say, if I don't cut us off now, we'll just keep talking. So true. Thank you everyone for listening to this point. If you're still listening to us, we're thrilled that you joined Tucker and myself to talk shop, kind of dig into the details, the research, the data, the changes, the exciting things happening in our industry. Thank you very much. Just a friendly reminder, we're Aimtal. We're a full service integrated marketing agency. We're entering our 6th year in business. We have a full team, full service across all disciplines of marketing, primarily work with B2B product companies. But we're always just excited to talk to anyone and everyone about marketing, honestly. And yeah, as I mentioned, this is call to action. We're really excited to launch this new video series. So if you have any kind of like questions, burning desires of topics, we're always looking for different things, people are seeing, kind of research that's coming up, changes. So stay tuned for the next episodes and ones that have already come out. And if you don't want to talk to Tucker and I talking for nearly 45 minutes, we totally understand. We get it. We're the resident verbal processors of Aimtal, of all things marketing. So we do have another series actually. So if you want to just get some marketing quick hit tips in 1 minute or less, we have a series called Marketing in a Minute on our YouTube channel, our website. We even have a newsletter, so you can kind of stay informed of content we're sharing there, and just kind of keep your knowledge of all things marketing going and relevant. So yeah, thanks everyone. I guess final point, just to close this one out, with our call to action. What's the one action that you want to give to our listeners?
Go create a marketing attribution report. Try it out. A lot of the work we've shown today, a lot of the things we do has come out of creativity, trying things we've never done before and seeing what sticks. And we've seen incredible results and really positive responses from clients and teams. So go figure it out. Go create a marketing attribution report. Start tying marketing to sales and see what you come up with. You might surprise yourself and your teammates. So go do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love it.
What about you, Janet? Do you have a call to action?
Yes, I would say kind of take the next step after Tucker's action, like create the report, and then don't just like send it on Slack and be like, hey guys, here's the report and some bullet points. Like, take the time to bring marketing, sales, and any other folks in leadership that should be part of that conversation and facilitate that conversation of like, here's what we're seeing. This is like the full picture. Ask those questions, especially if your sales team and other folks of like, what are you seeing? Like, how do we, or is there anything we're overlooking? And work on, I think, using that data and that report as that point of alignment, at least on, a monthly basis. We were talking about weekly, that might be too much for some folks, but, just kind of get it on the calendars. It's your deadline to just have those conversations. I'm always really big on, that clear, proactive communication and collaboration, and never steered us wrong. So that will be my call to action to our listeners today.
Love it. It's a great CTA.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Follow and subscribe for more call to action episodes. As I mentioned, we also have an email newsletter. Check that out on our website, aimtal.com. And yes, thank you very much. Thanks, Tucker, for joining me as always. Talking shop, having a good time, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everyone.